My name is Sophie. I'm 35 years old, and a few weeks ago I watched my own father look across the dinner table at my 8-year-old adopted daughter and say, "You should have stayed in the orphanage." I wish I could tell you it came out of nowhere, that it was a one-off slip from an otherwise kind grandfather. But the truth is, it was the ugliest peak of a mountain that had been building for years. My husband Eric and I always knew we wanted to be parents. We tried to have biological children for a long time. Fertility treatments, specialists, the whole exhausting roller coaster. After 3 years of heartbreak and one especially brutal miscarriage, we stepped back and asked ourselves a hard question. Did we want to be pregnant, or did we want to be parents? The answer was parents. We started the long, bureaucratic, emotional process of adoption. Eventually, we were matched with a little girl named Maya, who was 6 at the time, from a domestic orphanage that specialized in caring for kids who'd been in the foster system and then aged out of easy placements. Her file was full of words that scare people: neglect, developmental delays, attachment challenges. But the first time we met her, she walked into the room clutching a threadbare stuffed bunny, eyes way too old for her tiny body. And when I knelt down and said, "Hi, I'm Sophie," she whispered, "Do I have to go back?" And that was it. She was ours. We brought her home just before her 7th birthday. Those first months were messy and beautiful and hard. Maya hoarded food under her bed because she'd been hungry before, flinched whenever anyone raised their voice, needed constant reassurance that she wasn't going to be sent away if she made a mistake. But she laughed so hard at goofy cartoons she'd fall off the couch. Loved to help me in the kitchen, even if help meant flour everywhere. Slowly started calling us mom and dad. Without prompting, our friends were supportive. Eric's family embraced her immediately, buying her little gifts, learning about trauma-informed parenting with us, asking how they could help. My parents were a different story. My dad, Frank, is 68, retired construction worker, old school, blue collar, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type. Feelings are weakness. Therapy is for people who don't have real problems. He worked hard his whole life and believes that gives him the right to say whatever he wants. Growing up, that meant no crying at the dinner table, no talking back. A lot of, "I fed you and put a roof over your head. What more do you want?" My mom, Linda, is quieter, mostly goes along to get along. She'd comfort us kids in the hallway, then shrug helplessly when Dad barked from the couch. When I first told them we were considering adoption, my dad's response was, "Why don't you keep trying for a real kid? You never know, it could still happen." Real kid. I tried to explain that adopted children are just as real as biological ones. He grunted and changed the subject. When we told them about Maya specifically, that it was a done deal, he said, "So you're bringing home someone else's baggage. Don't come crying to me when it blows up." Mom gently shushed him and said, "We'll love any grandchild." But the damage was done. The first time they met Maya, he barely spoke to her. He said, "Hey kid," and went back to the game on TV. She hovered in the doorway, clutching that bunny, looking between him and me. I knelt down beside her and said, "This is Grandpa. He's grumpy on the outside, but not as scary as he looks." I tried to make it a joke. She gave him a small wave. He didn't look up. In the car on the way home, she said, "He doesn't like me." I lied and said, "He just needs time. He's not used to kids anymore." Over the next year, there were small incidents that chipped away at any benefit of the doubt I'd been trying to give him. At a barbecue, Maya accidentally dropped a hot dog on the deck. He snapped, "If you'd been raised right, you'd know how to hold onto your food." At Christmas, when she got overwhelmed by the noise and went to sit in a quiet room, he muttered, "She's too soft. Kids today are pathetic." Every time, I pulled him aside. "Dad, she's been through a lot. You can't talk to her like that," I'd say. He'd say things like, "Life's tough. Better she learns now. She's lucky to be here at all. You two baby her too much. She'll never toughen up." Eric was furious more than once. "Why do we keep going over there?" he'd ask. "She doesn't need this." I'd say, "They're her grandparents. Maybe he'll soften. I don't want to cut off my mom." I was stuck between my old family and my new one, trying to keep everyone together with duct tape and good intentions. Then my dad had a health scare, a mild heart attack. Nothing immediately fatal, but enough to scare him. Enough to prompt a lot of life is short talk from my mom. She asked if we could come over more, make more memories, not let old arguments fester. Against my better judgment, I agreed with conditions. "Dad can't talk down to Maya," I said. "No more of that lucky to be here stuff. If he starts, we leave. I mean it." Mom said, "Of course, he knows. He'll behave." Which is how we ended up on a Sunday afternoon, all sitting around my parents' dining table for the first big family dinner since his heart attack. Me, Eric, and Maya. My parents, my younger brother, Tom, and his wife. I thought, okay, this is a chance. Maybe he'll try. Maybe we can actually have a normal meal. I was wrong. At first, it really did feel almost normal. My mom had made roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, the classic comfort meal of my childhood. The house smelled like garlic and butter. My dad was at the head of the table, Eric on one side, me on the other. Maya sat between me and my mom. We said a short grace, Dad's one concession to spirituality. Thanks for the food, amen, let's eat. And everyone started passing dishes around. Maya was trying so hard. She sat up straight, used please and thank you for everything, asked politely for a smaller piece of chicken, kept glancing at me like, am I doing it right? I squeezed her knee under the table each time, a little silent. You're doing great. For the first 20 minutes, it was okay. Dad talked about his cardiologist. Tom talked about work. Eric asked my mom for her mashed potato recipe even though he already knew it, just to make her smile. Maya quietly ate and listened, chiming in once to say that she liked the green beans. Dad actually looked at her and said, good, they'll make you strong. I saw my mom's shoulders relax a little. Maybe we were all relaxing. Then Maya reached for the gravy boat. Her small hand didn't quite get a good grip. The heavy ceramic tilted, and a drizzle of gravy splashed onto the tablecloth and onto Dad's sleeve. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't an entire casserole on the floor. It was a small spill, she gasped, face going white. I'm sorry, she squeaked, pulling her hand back like she'd touched a hot stove. My immediate instinct was to say, it's okay, it's just gravy. But before I could get the words out, my dad exploded. For God's sake, he barked, pushing his chair back. Can you not do anything right? The entire table went still. Maya shrank into herself. I'm sorry, she whispered again. Eric said, it was an accident, Frank. Relax. Dad wasn't hearing it. She's 8 years old, he snapped. 8. And she acts like she's never seen a table before. Dropping things, spilling things, jumping at every sound. It's like He stopped for half a second. And in that half second, I prayed he would choose a different path. He didn't. It's like she should have just stayed in the orphanage, he finished. They must have been glad to get rid of her. The words landed like a bomb. There was a ringing in my ears. For a split second, I thought maybe I'd misheard, that my brain was filling in a worst-case scenario. Then I saw, Mimam Gopala. Tom's fork freeze halfway to his mouth. Eric's face go from confused to murderous. And Maya, my daughter. Her entire body went rigid. Her eyes filled so fast with tears, they spilled over onto her cheeks before she could blink them away. She looked at me like she'd been physically hit. I felt something inside me crack. I stood up so fast my chair scraped back hard enough to make everyone flinch. What did you just say? I asked, my voice shaking low and deadly. Dad scowled. You heard me, he said. Maybe if she'd stayed there, they would have taught her some manners. Instead, you bring... Stop, I said. Right now. He rolled his eyes. Oh, here we go. Drama queen Sophie, making everything about her feelings again. This isn't about me, I said through clenched teeth. You just told an 8-year-old child that she should have stayed in the orphanage. He shrugged. If the shoe fits, he muttered. She's not like us, Sophie, you know that. She's damaged. You can pretend all you want, but... Eric slammed his hand on the table. Enough, he said. Do not call my daughter damaged. Dad snapped back. I'm just being honest. You two walked into this with your eyes closed. She's not your flesh and blood. You don't know what her parents were like, what she inherited. There's probably all kinds of... Frank, my mom burst out. Stop it. He ignored her. My hands were shaking. Black spots danced at the edges of my vision. I looked at Maya. Her shoulders were hunched, eyes fixed on her plate, tears dropping silently onto her mashed potatoes. She was doing that thing she does when she's trying not to exist, making herself small, hoping nobody looks at her. I took a breath and made a choice. Get up, I said to her as gently as I could manage. We're leaving. She looked up, startled. Her lip wobbled. Now, I repeated softly. Go get your shoes, it's okay. She slid off her chair like a ghost and shuffled out of the room. Dad scoffed. Oh, good, he said. Run away like you always do. That'll teach her resilience. I turned to him, shaking with something between rage and clarity. You are never speaking to my daughter like that again, I said. In fact, you're not speaking to her at all. We're done here, he snorted. Don't be ridiculous. I'm her grandfather. No, I said. You're a man who just told a little girl who already believes she's disposable that she should have stayed in the place where no one wanted her. That's not a grandfather, that's a bully. He pushed his chair back fully, standing up. You ungrateful brat, he spat. I raised you, I gave you everything, and now you're choosing some broken stranger's kid over your own father? Some broken stranger's kid is my daughter, I said, voice shaking. She is not broken. She is not a stranger. And she deserves a family that sees her as more than a charity project. Mom had tears in her eyes. Frank, please, she said. You went too far. He rounded on her. Don't you start, he said. You're the one who's been coddling her too. No wonder Sophie turned out like this. Tom finally spoke up. Dad, what you said was messed up, he said quietly. You can't talk to a kid like that. Dad glared at him. Stay out of this, he snapped. I grabbed my purse and shakily slung it over my shoulder. Mom, I said, looking at her, I love you. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. But we're not coming back here until he understands what he's done, apologizes to Maya, and gets some serious help. And if that never happens, then I guess we're never coming back. Mom sobbed. Please don't say that. I didn't make this choice, I said. He did. Eric stood too. If you ever want to see your granddaughter again, he said to my dad, you know what you have to do. But until then, we're protecting her from you. Dad scoffed. Fine, he said. Go, see if I care. When she grows up and turns on you, don't come crying to me, blood tells. You can't change that. I looked at him one last time. You're right, I said. Blood tells. It's telling me exactly who you are. Then we walked out. In the car, Maya was silent, staring out the window. Halfway home, in a tiny voice, she asked, do you wish I stayed there too? I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles hurt. Never, I said. Not for 1 second. You belong with us. What he said was wrong. He was angry and cruel, and it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with his own issues. She sniffled. But he's your dad, and you're my daughter, I said. And my job is to protect you, even from him. She leaned her head against the window and whispered. Okay, that was the moment any lingering sense of obligation I had to my father cracked wide open. In the days after that dinner, my phone became a war zone. My mom called first. She was crying before I even said hello. He didn't mean it, she said. He was worked up. You know how he is. Please don't cut us off. I know exactly how he is, I replied. That's the problem. He feels bad, she insisted. Has he called to apologize to Maya? I asked. Silence. He said he's not apologizing to a child for telling the truth, she said finally. He said you're overreacting and trying to turn her against him. There it is, I said. That's not feeling bad. That's being angry, he got called out. Mom tried every angle. He's old. He won't change now. He had a hard childhood, you know that. One day he'll be gone and you'll regret this. I kept coming back to the same line. I will regret a lot of things in life. Protecting my daughter from someone who hurts her will never be one of them. Then my brother texted. I get that Dad was out of line, but going no contact? Isn't that a bit extreme? I texted back. He told an 8-year-old she should have stayed in the orphanage. That's not a slip. That's who he is when he's comfortable. I'm not risking her mental health so adults can have a nice roast dinner. A few relatives chimed in with the usual. Family is family. He's from a different generation. He doesn't understand adoption the way we do. One cousin, whose own father had been similarly cruel growing up, called me and said, you're doing the right thing. Don't let anyone guilt you. Eric was 100% on my side from the second it happened. We're done with him, he said that first night. If he ever apologizes to Maya sincerely, we can revisit. Until then, no contact. We found a therapist who specializes in working with adopted kids and trauma. Maya had already been seeing someone occasionally, but after this, we bumped it up to weekly for a while. In therapy, she talked about her fear that we'd send her back if she was too much trouble. The way she'd internalized comments about being lucky we took her. How my dad's words had confirmed her worst fear. Her therapist helped her separate my father's cruelty from any actual truth. Understand that adults can be wrong and still be adult. Learn phrases like, that's about them, not about me. We also had some joint sessions where we talked about boundaries. Her therapist told me something that stuck. The single most healing thing for her isn't that you say he was wrong. It's that you acted like he was wrong. You left. You chose her. That made me cry in the parking lot afterward. At home, we made some changes. He removed all photos of my dad from common areas. I left a couple of old albums in the closet, but nothing where Maya sits every day. Stopped talking about him as Grandpa, and instead, when necessary, said Frank or my dad. Reinforced. over and over that our home is her permanent home. About a month after the incident, my father called me. For a second, I thought maybe this was it. The apology. It wasn't. He launched straight into, "I heard you've been telling people I abused your kid. That's a hell of a thing to say about your own father." "I've been telling people what you said," I replied. "Your own words." "I was making a point," he said. "She's not like us, Sophie. You're raising her to think she is, and she's going to get hurt." I was trying to prepare her. "By telling her she should have stayed in the orphanage," I said. "That's not preparation, Dad. That's cruelty. She needs to know the truth," he said. "You went out and grabbed some damaged goods, and now you want everyone to pretend it's the same as having your own flesh and blood. It's not." I felt physically sick. "If that's how you see her," I said, "then you are exactly the person she needs protection from." He scoffed. "You're still that same soft little girl who cried when I tried to toughen you up," he said. "Now you're raising another one. Good luck when the world chews her up and spits her out." I took a breath. "This is the last conversation we're having until you're ready to do 3 things," I said. 1. Acknowledge that what you said was wrong and cruel. 2. Apologize directly to Maya, without excuses. 3. Get help for your anger and whatever your problem is with adoption. If those 3 things never happen, then this is the last time we speak. I'm done sacrificing my mental health and my child's for your comfort." He laughed, a bitter bark. "Then I guess this is it," he said. "Don't come crying when she turns on you. Blood will tell." "Blood is not the only thing that matters," I said. "If it were, I'd be treating my daughter like you treated me. I'm choosing something better. Goodbye, Dad." And I hung up. It's been over 6 months now. He hasn't called back. He hasn't written. He hasn't asked to see Maya. My mom still texts sometimes, small updates about his health, little attempts at normal conversation. I keep it polite but distant. I've told her she's welcome to visit us, but she cannot bring him, and she's not allowed to minimize what happened around Maya. We've had her over twice. Just her. She cried both times, holding Maya a little too tightly, saying things like, "Grandma loves you so much," without mentioning why we're in this position. I'm still working on what my relationship with her looks like. It's complicated when one parent is the problem and the other is the long-term enabler. As for Maya, she's okay. Not magically healed, but okay. She still asks once in a while, "Do you think he misses me?" And I have to say, I don't know. What I know is, we would miss you if you weren't here. And that's why you're staying. We've started our own little traditions. Sunday pancakes at home instead of dinner at my parents' Gotcha Day celebrations on the anniversary of her adoption, where we do everything she picks. Bedtimes, where we list 3 things we love about ourselves that have nothing to do with grades or performance. Sometimes I look at photos of my dad holding me as a baby and wonder if there's a universe where he could have been a gentle grandpa to her. But then I remember the look on her face at that table, the way her shoulders curled in like she could make herself disappear. And I know I made the right choice, because at the end of the day, my primary job is not to keep my father comfortable. It's to keep my daughter safe. So now I'm turning it over to you. Was I wrong for cutting my father off after he told my 8-year-old adopted daughter she should have stayed in the orphanage? Should I have tried harder to educate him on adoption and trauma? Or was going no contact and setting a clear boundary the only way to truly protect my kid? What would you have done in my place? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Reddit-style family drama and Sophie's story time.